heart and with all the love that I have, I would disagree with that, because if we don't have godly people running our nation, who is? So I would invite and encourage our very much loved Kerry Petrus to share about what God would love to do with our nation. Thank you, Kerry. Please make her feel welcome.
So one of my favourite Bible verses is 2 Timothy 1:7, which says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind." And it also tells us in the Bible that we are to come to Him like children. And I would encourage you to come to voting like a child, to check it out, to learn about it, to have a sound mind about it so there is no fear. And things have changed. Things have changed dramatically over the years. The parties that we knew 20, 30 years ago that were built on godly principles with godly men are no longer standing on the Word of God. The parties that were for the family and for the workers are no longer for the family. In fact, they're actually going against biblical principles and they're going against family. Unfortunately, a lot of people consider that they keep doing the same old, what they've always done. And they haven't looked at it with new eyes to see what's really going on. Hence, Family First came about because there were a group of people that wanted to have a Judeo-Christian ethos at the basis of everything. And that's where all our policies are based on. So we don't actually put out that we're a Christian party as such. Just so happens that everyone in it is a Christian. And we do support Israel and we do support the family. So I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what the aims of Family First are in this election and what we're putting out for you. And you know what? We've actually already achieved our main aim, and that was to get a candidate on the ballot paper throughout every electorate in Queensland, which we have done. Okay, so what is Family First putting out? So first up is power prices. So we want to cut power prices. Power prices and electricity is behind just about everything we do. And so many people will say that electricity prices are what driving up prices of everything else. Manufacturing, whatever little manufacturing we still have in Australia. So mums and dads are struggling. And I guess this is the thing about Family First too. We know that families are breaking. And I dare say that a lot of family breakdowns are because of the costs. Financial strain. It's the money issue. It's the money issue that most people have the most challenge with. So if we can bring down those costs, it would make it easier for so many families. So mums and dads are struggling to pay their power bills, but the major parties are making electricity even more expensive. You don't need more electricity taxes. Family First will fight to cut your power prices. For a country to remain prosperous, it requires cheap, reliable, clean and secure energy. Australia should be leading the world in this area, for we have so much good quality coal, gas, oil and uranium in abundance. We are so energy resource rich, and yet successive government policies stop us from using our resources ourselves. Instead, opting for foreign provided, expensive and unreliable renewables. We've seen how the idea of renewables and net zero and these aims have worked for Europe. It hasn't. We've seen how it worked for South Australia. It didn't. But we keep thinking that it's going to work. Family First believes that Australian resources should be used by and for Australians. The virtue signalling obsession with renewables will bankrupt the country, destroying our security and environment along with it. Have you seen any of these large wind farms or massive fields of solar panels? Yes. We can't afford to let that happen. Now, there are people out there who recognise we need to look after our planet. And they say reuse, recycle. Is it reuse, recycle? There's another R, I forget. Reduce. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Are we reducing our need for electricity? No, especially not with all these electric cars that they want more and more people to have. We're not reducing it. Can we reuse our solar panels? No. What about our wind turbines? No. Or can we recycle them? No. So, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I guess that's a lot about what Australia Family First is about. Back to common sense. So I was trying to find out exactly how much money we spend and how much we get for our resources. This is the only information I could find last night. China imported 84.8 million tonnes of coal from Australia in 2024 at an average price of 97.92 million. I'm not quite sure what that amount is actually, but it's for million metric tonnes. Doesn't sound a lot, does it? And I could not find how much we spent on buying it back in the form of wind turbines and solar panels. But I did find out that 96% of Australia's solar panels come from China. So who's getting rich out of all of this? China. And we give them our really good quality coal because they are building new coal-fired power stations to power all this manufacturing using our coal. Does anybody else see something a bit off with this? Let's just look at the basics. Okay, what else does Family First want to do? Moving on. We want to stop gender ideology. Julia Gillard changed the forms back when she was in government from sex to gender. I say let's go back to sex. That's non-negotiable. That's biological. That's male or female. We know what a man and a woman are. We can define a man and a woman. And thankfully, so does the UK. They've just recently passed by their High Court the definition of a woman. Australia needs to know who a woman is. So it also feeds into sport. So women's sport is becoming really popular. So we want to make sure that women are protected in sport and in school to be women. We also want to protect our children at school. So we want to protect faith-based schools. And I can tell you now, Family First is the only party that actually supports home education. Our state director, Alex, she homeschooled her children. I've been a great supporter of homeschooling, and we homeschooled Elizabeth for quite a long time. And in Flynn, the candidate for Flynn, he also homeschools his son. So homeschoolers should know that it is Family First that will support you in that. These are the issues that the other parties aren't talking about, but they're really important. The other thing that is really important is to also understand how to vote. We have preferential voting system. Now, last time I explained that to you guys, I used a little video clip from the Curiosity Show, if you remember that one. This time I'm using Topher Fields. He's got a 9-minute explanation with marbles. And he even mentions Family First, so listen out for that one. Thank you.
In the next 9 minutes and 45 seconds, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about Australia's preferential voting system and how to use it to punish the major parties and support the smaller parties that you like better. My name's Topher Field, and I'm on a mission to help people like you understand the world as it changes around us. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to be the change by using your vote better. The Australian preferential voting system is actually brilliant in my opinion, but we don't teach it very well in schools, probably because having people not understand the system benefits the major parties. So let's fix that. In Australia, you get one vote, but that vote travels from one candidate to another according to your preferences. This means we don't just tick one box, we number all the boxes in the lower house or number a minimum number of boxes in the Senate from 1 through to however many, in the order in which we would prefer them to win. Then the votes are counted, and the candidate with the fewest first preference votes is eliminated. And all of their votes are now distributed to those individual voters' second preferences, whatever they put as number 2 on their individual ballot. Then the candidates are reordered according to whoever now has the most votes after these preferences, and then we go again. We eliminate the one with the fewest votes, allocate those votes to their next preference, reorder and repeat until you have a candidate with more than 50% of the votes in the lower house or more than a quota in the Senate, because in the Senate there's 6 seats available in each state at each election, and so you only need about 14% of the vote to win a Senate seat. It's actually a brilliant system, even though it sounds complicated, because it solves the problem of splitting the vote, like what they have in the US presidential system. Because now the vote is being split, but they can still direct their preferences back to the remaining candidate that they prefer, meaning that if their number 1 candidate gets knocked out, their vote goes to their number 2 or 3 or 4, and the end result actually reflects the preferences of the voters better than a simple first-past-the-post system ever will. So, how do you use this to reward the good minor parties and punish the useless majors? By putting all of the good minor parties that you would like first before any of the major parties. Then you put the major parties in the middle as blockers, and then underneath the majors you put the really toxic minor parties that you have to number, but you don't really ever want to ever receive your vote. In this way, you ensure that your vote has the opportunity to help all of the good minor parties, not just one of them. You see, if you vote for your preferred minor party and then put one of the majors next, let's say you vote number 1 Libertarian or One Nation or Family First, and then you put the Liberal Party at number 2, your vote will never move through to the other good minor parties because they will have been eliminated before the Liberal Party is eliminated. So your preferences to them will have no effect. But if you put all of the good minor parties at 1, 2, 3, etc., before the Liberal Party, then your vote moves through them all. And there's a good chance, if enough of us do this, that one of those good minor parties will get lucky and pick up a seat in the Senate. But that won't happen if you just vote number 1 for your favourite minor party and then put one of the majors in number 2. And I'll prove it. I ran for the Senate for the Libertarian Party at the last federal election, and I joined forces with the candidates from the UAP and from One Nation. We campaigned side by side, encouraging all of our supporters to vote 1, 2, 3 for the 3 of us, in whatever order suited them best. The order actually didn't matter as much as them simply placing us all ahead of the Liberal Party. Sadly, it fell on deaf ears because 80% of the voters who voted for one of us 3 then voted number 2 for the Liberal Party. As a result, none of us got elected, and a Jackie Lambie Network candidate ended up getting the final Senate spot instead of one of us. Here's the kicker. We had enough votes to win that last Senate spot easily. If just 50% of our voters had put the 3 of us at 1, 2, 3 before the Liberal Party, one of us would be a senator right now. I don't know which one of us, but one of us. And this is the key. Put every decent minor party candidate ahead of any of the majors. And if we do that, we will probably see No less than 6 good minor party senators get elected around Australia at this coming election. Okay, so that's how preferential voting works and how you can use it to get better results in this coming federal election. Good minor parties first, all of them, then the majors in whatever order you choose, and then the bad minor parties below them in whatever order. Now, before my time is up, I need to do some myth busting. Myth 1. Some people are saying that we shouldn't vote or that we should write MAGA on our ballot. They claim that if enough of us do this, it will bring change. But how? Exactly how? There is no mechanism in our electoral system that says if informal votes exceed X percentage, then the government has to step down. That's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. If you vote informally, you are voting for more of the Muppets who are already destroying our country. It's not a plan, it's a lazy cop-out. Myth number 2. Some people say that our system guarantees the major parties will win because in the lower house we have to number every box, including the major parties. And I get it, it can look that way. But the math doesn't math. The major parties win because too many people vote for them at number 1 or at number 2 on their ballot. That's why we call them the major parties. But you numbering them at number 4 or number 5 is not the reason they're winning the seat. If all of the good minor parties that you had at number 1, 2, 3, 4 all get eliminated, then yes, your vote will work its way down your preferences and end up with your preferred major party. That's true, but that's because the least bad option left on your ballot is that party. You're not helping them to win over the top of the good parties. You're now helping them to win instead of an even worse party, and sometimes that's the best you're going to get. Myth number 3. People point out that oftentimes the full preferences aren't counted on election night, and they're right. They then say that that's fraud and it's rigged, and they're wrong. Preferences can only add up to whatever they can add up to, no more than that. So if you have an election with first and second place, for example, having 40% each, then the remaining amount amongst all the other parties, 20%, is not enough to add up and come over the top of either of these two. No matter what happens with these preferences, the winner will be one of these top two. Now, when this happens, it makes sense to just allocate all of these 20%, these votes, to whichever of these two is preferenced first or has the lower number on each voter's ballot. It's called two-party preferred counting, and it's not fraud. It makes perfect mathematical sense. Myth number 4, that two-party preferred counting is used even when it shouldn't be. For example, there are times when the top two have, let's say, 30% each. Now that leaves 40%, and if all of these votes gathered together into a single minor party via preferences, then that would be enough to come over the top of one or both of these. But if we look at where those 40% of the votes are, we can already tell whether that's possible, or if they won't come together in one party because these parties just aren't going to preference each other over the majors. For example, Greens voters will put Labor above pretty much most other minor parties. Likewise, One Nation voters will put Liberals above the Greens and lots of others. So this 40% is not going to gather into a single minor party. Instead, it's all going to find its way to one or other of the majors before it gathers, meaning that a two-party preferred count still makes sense most of the time. The AEC are very good at anticipating when to use a two-party preferred count and when not to, and rest assured, a full count is always done after the election. And if the AEC ever get it wrong, they would be corrected immediately. The thing is, it hasn't happened yet. They've literally never been wrong before, so maybe we can relax on this one. Myth number 5, that the parties direct your preferences. This used to be true, but it no longer is. The parties can only make a recommendation via a how to vote card. Your vote will go only where you direct it, via your ballot. In summary, I recommend that you put all of the decent minor parties in all of the top positions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as many as you have in your lower house seat or in your Senate ticket. Then put your preferred major party after them, and then put everyone else where it just doesn't really matter. By doing this, we can transform the Australian Parliament in just the next election, just by improving how we use our preferential system and by helping others to learn it too. Please share this video far and wide. Follow me at Topher Field on all of the socials, and if you'd like to buy my books or my merch, you'll find it at goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, just in case the AEC get their nick.
Okay, so that's some more information for you, okay? I have emailed this next chart. I think I showed this, guys, to you guys before. This is the Australian Christian Values Checklist. So it lists the Christian values that are up. So protect innocent life, stop taking children's lives, the babies, opposing euthanasia, supporting life. I won't go into all too much because I know we've got some younger people here today, but if you'd like a copy of this for yourself, please talk to me afterwards. I'm happy to email this out to everyone. I've got some copies here. You're welcome to have a look at this or take a photo of it, but I'm also happy to email it out to everyone. It clearly shows that Family First is the only Christian values-based party that supports all of the Christian values. And if you look along that chart, you've got Family First, and then you've got the Kadders Australia Party. They also stand very strongly on Christian values. And then you've got One Nation in the third column. There's a few things that they're not quite on board with. And then you've got the Trumpeter Patriots, and then the LNP, and then Labor, Teals, and you can see Greens is just about nearly all red. I think that shows very clearly where all the parties stand on Christian values. So what are we up for this time? We're up for a Senate election. At federal, we have the Senate, which is the upper house, and we have the lower house. So this is a list of the Queensland senators. So on the left, you've got the ones who are being up for election in this year. So there's only 6 of them. The other 6 will come about in 3 years' time, in 2028. So this election, you've got Malcolm Roberts from One Nation, Waters from the Greens, somebody else, surname Green, from ALP, McDonald from LNP, Jared Rennick from People First Party, and Scar from the Liberal Party. So they're the 6 senators for Queensland who are up for re-election or who could possibly lose their position because of other parties. So let's have a look at the Senate, how to vote for Family First. So the next slide is just our recommendations. Again, when you're voting for the Senate, it's a big white paper. You can go below the line and number everything. You need to number up to at least 12. Or you can go above the line and just do it in the groups, and you need to do up to 6. Okay? So the next one shows us the Family First recommendation and you'll see it's very similar to what Tofu was talking about, doing the minor parties for the Senate. So Family First 1, and then Jared Rennick and the Katter Party 2, Pauline Hanson's One Nation 3, then the Libertarians, then the LNP, and then Great Australian Party and Heart Party, who I've never even heard of. Now, you can see the groups. It goes all the way down to S. There's loads in there. So there's loads of different groups on the Senate ballot paper, the big white one. We are also voting for a House of Representative candidate. And if we go to the next, so I am the lower house, so House of Representative candidate for Hinkler. So Hinkler is the federal electorate that we're currently in here. It covers, and if we go to the next slide, this is a map of Hinkler specifically. So it goes from Bundaberg down to Hervey Bay. The previous member for Hinkler was Keith Pitt, who held the position for quite some time. He retired. He resigned because he didn't like the way the LNP were going. He has been he is now the ambassador to the Vatican for the Holy See, I think is the way they actually put it. So that's the map for Hinkler. And in Hinkler, we've got 7 candidates. So the next slide just shows you the 7 candidates that are standing for Hinkler. So this is in the ballot paper order. So you'll get your little green slip to put your numbers on. And these are the candidates. First up is Andrew McLean. He's representing the Greens. And I hope everyone realise that the Greens are very woke. They're extreme left. You may have seen some of his signs around the place. You probably won't see him because he lives down at Mullaney. Next on the ballot paper was David Batt. He's the LNP candidate. I've spoken with David. I've met him a couple of times. He attends a Catholic church in Bundaberg, but he also recognises that there's something more than just the traditional Catholic point of view. And he did say that he would be willing to go against the party if it was a vote on faith-based issues, which I rate fairly highly. And that's the problem. Look, I can only go by meeting the guy and what he said to me, because I've had other people sort of say, well, look, he has been in before and he didn't do much. It's not always easy when you're in Parliament to actually get things across the line because everyone has to agree. It's still a majority vote in Parliament. He did lose his seat at one stage by only 9 votes. So he's been in the fight and he knows how to do it because he's been in there before. So I kind of trust his experience a little. The next down on the candidate was Michael O'Brien. He's an independent. I can't find anything about him. I don't know where he is or what he stands for or anything. So, and then Trish Mears is the Labor candidate. You've probably seen her face around a lot as well. Trish has been very heavily involved with the Chamber of Commerce in Bundaberg. She also attends the Catholic Church, but she is very big on renewables. She's going definitely with the party line on renewable energy. And then 5th position is myself for Family First. And then 6th position is Tyler. He's standing for Pauline Hanson's One Nation. He seems like a lovely guy. He doesn't have a faith in Christ. He's not a Christian. So in my recommendations, I actually put him below David because at the end of the day, if it push comes to shove, if you've got something that you're standing on, you won't fall as quickly or as easily. You know, the old saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And then we've got Robert Bloberger, who is standing for Trumpet of Patriots. That's his photo. That's the only thing I can find out about him. So the next slide, we've got, this is just the Family First recommendations for voting in Hinkler. Now, I do have some how to vote cards here. So I've got plenty of those to give everyone. So if you want to take your own how to vote card for Family First with you, please feel free to collect one. So you've got all of that. Our how to votes, because we are a small party, on here you will also see how to vote in Blair, Flynn, Groom, Hinkler and Maranoa. So 5 different electorates all on one. That's why it's a bit bigger this time. Okay, so I know that not everyone here is in Hinkler. Some people live in Flynn, so that covers Bigoden. And so if we go to the next slide, this is the list of candidates, this is the map for Flynn. So you can see on here, it's a really large area, including Agnes Waters and Moore Park Beach, so north of Bundaberg and Bigoden. So in Flynn, we do also have a Family First candidate. So if we go to the next slide, here's a photo of all the different candidates that I could get photos on, and that's the order that they are in on the green ballot paper. So independent, don't know anything about him. I didn't do a lot of research on these guys. If you live in Flynn, certainly recommend that you do your research. I do know the Family First candidate, Peter Dorian, and he is a homeschooling parent. So that's all I can tell you about these guys, I'm sorry. So for Flynn, if we go to the next slide, that's just the listing of recommendations. Again, that is on our How to Vote for Family First, which you can pick up at the end. And We are already open for voting. So some people I know have already done early voting. Hands up if you've already voted. Okay, a few people have already. The nearest early voting centre to here is Childers, and it is open this week. It's open from Monday to Thursday, 8:30 to 5:30, and it's open on Friday, 8:30 through to 6 p.m. And it's just, there's the address, McElwraith Street. It's actually just behind IGA. So if you go into Childers, it's the street behind IGA, and it's on that corner there. We have 35 voting places throughout Hinkler next Saturday. I've got about 3 covered so far. So if you are going to vote next Saturday, or if you would like to help out, I've got the list with me of all the different places that you can vote. If you'd like to help out, we have some T-shirts. I've got more coming this week. We've got lots of the how to vote cards, and I have some caps. So it's easy. It can be really fun, and it can be a bit of a ministry at times too. I know when I've been on pre-poll before, I've actually had the opportunity to pray with people, which is a wonderful opportunity. So helping with just a smile and a friendly offer of a how to vote card, if they want it. Don't take it personally if they don't. It can be a little challenging at times, but it can also be fun. And whatever time you have is great, whether it be half an hour, or a couple of hours. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that's answered some of your questions. And if anyone has any questions, we'll obviously be around at the end. Okay, thank you.